Have you ever wondered what it was like to be a child at the heart of a landmark civil rights case? Imagine a world where your skin color determines the school you attend, where an invisible line drawn by society separates you from your peers. This was the reality for many African American children in the mid-20th century. But one child, in particular, found herself at the epicenter of a seismic shift in this narrative. Her name was Linda Brown, a name that would soon echo through the halls of justice, from the classrooms of Kansas to the highest court in the land. Born in a time when racial segregation was a stark reality of American life, Linda Brown was an ordinary girl who became part of an extraordinary struggle. Her parents, Oliver and Leola Brown, simply wanted what any parents would want for their child: equal educational opportunities. However, the prevailing separate but equal doctrine of the time stood as a formidable barrier to their aspirations. In the early 1950s, when Linda was just 9 years old, her parents attempted to enroll her in the all-white Sumner Elementary School near their home. Their simple act of defiance against an unjust system set the stage for a legal battle that would rock the foundations of American society. The case was Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, a name that would become synonymous with the fight for racial equality in education. The significance of this case cannot be overstated. It challenged the very constitutionality of segregation in public schools, a fight that would eventually lead to a landmark Supreme Court decision, forever changing the landscape of American education. A young girl from Kansas would soon find herself in the middle of this monumental legal battle. And so begins our exploration into the life and legacy of Linda Brown, a pivotal figure in the American Civil Rights Movement. On a cold February day in 1942, Linda Brown was born in Topeka, Kansas. Her parents, Oliver and Leola Brown, were African-American individuals navigating life amidst the rampant racial segregation and discrimination of mid-20th century America. Despite the societal odds stacked against them, they were determined to provide their children with the best they could, especially when it came to education. The Browns, like many African-American families of the time, were caught in the web of the separate but equal doctrine. This was an era when racial segregation was not just a social norm, but also a legal mandate. Public spaces, including schools, were divided along color lines, under the guise of providing equal facilities for all. A principle established by the Supreme Court's 1896 Plessy v. Ferguson decision. From an early age, Linda and her siblings experienced this inequality firsthand. The schools designated for African American children were often under-resourced, overcrowded, and located far from their homes. Despite these challenges, the Brown family remained committed to their children's education. They knew that education was the key to unlocking a brighter future, not just for their children, but also for countless African American children across the nation. Oliver and Leola Brown were not just parents, they were pioneers who dared to question the status quo. They aspired for a world where their children wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. They yearned for a time when their children could access the same educational opportunities as their white counterparts. As Linda grew older, her parents' vision of equality became her own. The injustices she experienced fueled her resolve to fight for change. However, at that point she was just a young girl living in Topeka, Kansas, unaware of the monumental role she was destined to play in the fight for civil rights. Little did she know, her life was about to take a historic turn. The year was 1951. Linda was a mere 9 years old when her parents attempted to enroll her in the all-white Sumner Elementary School. The school was conveniently located near their home in Topeka, Kansas. However, Linda was denied admission, not because of her academic abilities or behavior, but because of the color of her skin. This was the harsh reality of the racially segregated school system of the time, which enforced the separate but equal doctrine. A doctrine born from the Supreme Court's 1896 Plessy v. Ferguson decision. Now you might be wondering, what is this separate but equal doctrine? Well, it was a legal principle that justified systems of segregation. Under this doctrine, as long as each race had access to its own, supposedly equal facility, segregation did not violate the 14th Amendment. In practice, however, facilities and social services for African Americans were often vastly inferior to those provided for white Americans. Linda's parents, Oliver and Leola Brown, were not about to accept this. They joined forces with other African American parents in a similar predicament, and together, they decided to challenge the status quo. They sought the help of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The NAACP was at the forefront of the struggle for civil rights, and they saw in this case a chance to challenge racial segregation in schools at the highest level. And so began the case known as Brown vs. Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. It was a legal challenge that took aim at the very heart of the constitutionality of segregation in public schools. A battle fought not just for Linda, but for all children who were being denied an equal education simply because of their race. The stage was set for a legal battle that would shake the nation. This case would test the principles upon which the United States was founded, and its outcome would have far-reaching implications for the civil rights movement and the pursuit of racial equality in America. In 1954, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous verdict that forever changed the American education system. On the 17th of May that year, the court made a landmark decision in the case of Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. This decision was more than just a legal ruling. It was a seismic shift in the American societal landscape. The justices unanimously ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional, thereby overturning the long-standing, separate but equal doctrine established in the Plessy v. Ferguson case in 1896. This decision was a beacon of hope, signaling the beginning of the end for legalized racial segregation in the United States. But the case was not just about laws and legal doctrines. At its heart, it was about people. People like Linda Brown, a young girl whose desire for an equal education became a national cause. Linda's name is forever linked to this pivotal case, and she became a symbol of courage and resilience in the fight against racial discrimination. The Brown v. Board of Education decision had a profound impact on desegregation efforts across the country. It was a major victory for the NAACP and other civil rights organizations, and it paved the way for further progress in the fight for equal rights. Schools began to integrate, albeit slowly, and often in the face of intense resistance. Indeed, the decision was a turning point, but it was also just the beginning. It was a starting gun in the race towards a more equitable society, a race that continues to this day. The decision did not instantly erase the deep-seated prejudices or systemic racism prevalent in society, but it did provide a legal framework to challenge and dismantle these injustices. Linda Brown's story and the monumental Supreme Court decision are testaments to the power of individuals and communities standing up against injustice. They remind us that change, while often slow and fraught with hurdles, is possible. The decision was a watershed moment, but the journey was far from over. After the case, Linda Brown continued her life, always carrying the weight of her unique place in history. She pursued her education with a fervor that was born from the struggle she had faced. As an adult, she utilized her experiences and the lessons she had learned to serve as an educational consultant, using her unique perspective to influence the future of education. But Linda Brown was more than just a symbol. She was a woman who lived her life with grace and determination, even amidst the challenges that came her way. She navigated the world with the knowledge that she had played a pivotal role in reshaping the educational landscape of the United States. In her later years, Linda remained a vocal advocate for equal rights, never forgetting the fight she had been a part of. Her unwavering dedication to the cause of equality was a testament to her strength of character and her belief in the power of change. On March 25, 2018, Linda Brown passed away. She was 75 years old. Her passing was felt deeply by those who knew her, and by the countless individuals whose lives had been touched by her story. Yet, even in her absence, her legacy lives on. Linda Brown left behind more than just a name in a landmark court case. She left behind a legacy of courage and resilience, a testament to the power of standing up for what is right, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Her story continues to inspire and motivate, serving as a beacon of hope for those who continue to fight for justice and equality. Linda Brown's story is a reminder of the power of a single voice, of the impact one person can have on the course of history. It's a story of defiance, of perseverance, of a fight against injustice. It's a story that resonates even today, as we continue to grapple with issues of racial equality and social justice. Linda Brown's story remains a powerful reminder of the potential for change when ordinary people take a stand for justice and equality.